Hi there, Andy Ron here with Montana Land Source. It is August 3rd, 2022, and this is your video summary of our weekly Montana Land Report. My report and video last week created a bit of buzz, got quite a few phone calls and comments. Basically, my characterization that we perhaps are transitioning from a seller's market to a buyer's market, or at the very least, not quite such a seller's market, created quite a bit of buzz from my broker client base. Basically two types of comments: some who are frustrated that I am diminishing the market or diminishing the potential of the market, whatnot, and others who thank me for I guess reporting honestly and calling it as it is. And just to be clear, I'm an appraiser, and the goal and the purpose of Montana Land Source is not promoting any kind of sales or marketing of Montana land, but simply to report on the market. And I take that role very seriously as just being a reporter and appraiser and a provider of information, not enhancement of sales and whatnot. The other source was sellers, and there's quite a bit of fear out there, I would say, in the seller community. For sure, if you're a seller and your property's been on the market, it's a little bit concerning, having clearly gone through a very overheated and hot market, and that is cooling down is of concern to sellers, and some new sellers as well, expressing concern and fear and frustration. Have they missed, an incredible market, and are they coming in too late? That kind of thing. I guess some perspective there. It's still a very high demand market. There is still demand out there for land in Montana. From a historical perspective, we're still in a very beneficial market in terms of being a seller and selling land in Montana. So demand is still high and out there. Part of what we're dealing with is constrained supply. And that demand certainly has cooled, though. I think you could argue it was a bit overheated during COVID, and for various reasons. I've talked a lot on these updates over the past 2 years. So we're definitely in a cooling period. Most brokers, however, will say they do have buyers. They do have people looking for land, but often just can't find what they're looking for. And maybe an important thing to sort of discuss about the Montana land market is land in Montana can be very unique. And especially larger pieces with high price tags. The reality is there really is only a handful of potential buyers out there for any given property. There's only so many people looking for land, and only so many people with that kind of checkbook, so to speak. And so sometimes I think one thing that happens in our market is, for various reasons, the buyer just isn't out there in the current time for any specific piece of property. And of course, that's a difficult thing for sellers. Are they priced right? Are they marketed right? Whatnot. But sometimes I feel it's as simple as, the right person for this property just doesn't happen to be out there looking right now. So that just kind of complicates, evaluating where you're at on your marketing and whatnot. So let's see. In other news, we've started in the wildfire season in Montana. We've been lucky. We've had a cool and at least a wet spring, at least in most of the state, or a good portion of the state, southern part of the state especially. That's not true everywhere. North central Montana has had terrible drought all season long. So unfortunately, they haven't had the rains that most of the rest of the state has had. But nonetheless, we're later getting into the fire season, which has been kind of nice. But suddenly this week or so, we've got some big wildfires. And on our map app at Montana Land Source, we have 2 layers showing active wildfires. So you have to activate those to see those, but tells you where fires are and status updates and whatnot. So you can check that out. We're starting to see some cloudy skies or smoky skies in different parts of Montana. And of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to those. There's quite a big fire, Elmo fire, out in the Flathead Lake area, which is probably the biggest fire in Montana right now. Only barely under control, if that, from what I understand. But check that out at MT Land Source as far as information on that. And another exciting announcement is we are actually going to be rolling out a new map at some point here, hopefully in the next couple weeks. We've been working on a new map app with some great improvements to our existing map app. A couple of those improvements offhand are we're breaking up sales into different layers. So right now we just have a sales layer that goes all the way back to 2012, but the new map app will have current sales. So you'll be able to just see, only sales within the last 2 years, and then older sales separately. So I think that'll be much more useful for people looking for current comps, that kind of thing. And another exciting improvement is we're going to have an ownership layer on that map app. Currently we have parcels, individual parcels, and that comes straight from the Montana cadastral data set. But those are only individual parcels, and you can't tell, for example, if there's a large ranch. You'd have to click on individual parcels and kind of piece together the names. But this is going to be a layer merged by name of parcels, so you'll be able to see ownership. So if there's an area of big ranches, you will see those ranches. We will also still have the parcel layer on there as well. So look forward to that. The app is going to perform better, work better in mobile. Hopefully will work better remotely. Still issues, obviously, if you're out of cell coverage and that kind of stuff, but I think this app will work better even if you're going in and out of cell coverage. So lastly, as far as upcoming events, the Montana Farm and Ranch Brokers is having their meeting coming up on Thursday, and we're having Gary Buchanan, who's running as an independent for the Eastern District for the U.S. House. We had him recently on the Ranch Investor podcast. He's very interesting in terms of his independent political race, but also he's a long time financial advisor out of Billings, lots of ag clients and Eastern Montana clients, and long history of service with the state of Montana in terms of financial world and that kind of stuff. So very interesting. Check out that podcast, and also if you'd like, you can join us here in Billings for that meeting or Zoom to that meeting as well. All that information is available at mtlandsource.com. I didn't get to the actual updates for the week. A relatively quiet week in the market in Montana. Only 18 property updates over the past 7 days. 8 new listings, which is a strong number of listings. 5 price changes, which is up there as well. Been talking about that a lot of price changes suddenly within the market. So that's an indication that we have some cooling going on. 1 property back on the market that fell out of contract. Interestingly, not a lot of properties falling out of contract. You would expect to see that if we were truly correcting in an extreme way, or the market turning in an extreme way. By and large, still seeing contracts go through, so not seeing that. Only 1 new pending and only 3 sales over the past week. So again, relatively quiet week in the Montana land market. Thanks everybody for watching. Enjoy doing these videos. Check out all the information and resources at mtlandsource.com. Thank you, and see you next week.